Good evening, members of the committee. Kyle Bordlawn, Director of Planning and Facilities. As you may recall, we have the Como High Performing Arts Academy building that we have elected to have constructed under the construction manager at risk method of delivery as opposed to a bid process. So the Lafayette Parish School System put out requests for statement of qualifications. That was advertised publicly in the newspaper. We did receive 4 submittals from 3 local contractors, 1 out-of-town contractor. Committee was assembled with members recommended from the superintendent, and those committee members reviewed the statement of qualifications and evaluated those. From that 4 contractors who submitted information, the top 3 were selected for oral interviews. The committee members interviewed those top 3, and the numbers, the evaluation numbers were put into a spreadsheet to determine the final contractor to be recommended to this committee and the board, and that contractor is the Lemoyne Company of Lafayette. Included in your agenda, included with your agenda item, is the scoring on all 3 companies. And as you will see, that the statement of qualifications evaluation, that score was worth 60% of the final, and the oral interview score was worth 40% of the final score.
Is that evaluation, weight, score, and weight? Is that something new, or we've been using that for this process?
It's the same as what we used when we chose the construction manager at risk for the Southside High project.
There was one contractor, Mr. Bordelon?
Well, it's the same. I mean, it's the same scoring, same evaluation that was in that package, and same that we repeated in this package.
Mr. Latchley?
I've got no questions. If you want a motion, let me get.
Oh, yes, sir.
Mrs. Centani has a question.
Come on down.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Justin Centani, District 6. I was hoping maybe Mr. Bordelon could elaborate on the process used to score the oral interviews, because I noticed that Core Construction scored higher on the oral interviews, and what criteria perhaps was used to generate those scores.
I can answer that. Mr. Centani, would you like a copy of this information?
I've read it all already, thank you.
Oh, okay. If the members of the committee would like this information, I'll be glad to pass it out. But on the oral interviews, there was I'm sorry, that was the question. What was?
Oh, you have the oral interviews?
Well, I have the information that was used by each committee member for both the oral interviews and the evaluation of the written information.
I'd love to see that.
Okay, I'll hand.
See the oral interview for it.
Went to sleep. Okay, so what I handed out to you is the same information that was included in the SOQ information that went out to all interested contractors. So this is the information that they were scored upon. On the oral interviews, the big headings were history, organization, and financial conditions of the proposer, qualifications and staffing plan, approach and methodology, and past performance on similar projects. When the written statement of qualifications was evaluated by each committee member, they looked at the team compatibility and intra-team relationships, the approach and methodology, the discussion of information in the SOQ, and past performance on similar projects.
Mr. Bordelon, why is it weighted 60-40? Is that just common practice, or?
Well, based on the first statement of qualifications that we received from, I'm trying to remember if we received, I think we received that from another school district, which we modeled ours after. And we did run that through legal counsel also before we did it the first time. We saw no issues with that, so that's what we used.
Are any of the qualifications, I know we had this discussion a meeting or two back, are any of the qualifications based on past projects done within our parish? And I said it was weighted. Some people have done a lot of work in our parish and some haven't.
No, sir, it was not based on past projects in our parish, but it was based on past projects that they performed with the construction manager at risk method.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Broussard.
Mr. Bullock, explain to me exactly what does a construction risk manager do and why do we need him?
Okay, the construction manager at risk method of delivering a project is a way for us to we already hire an architect to design this building, so he is under contract with us directly. By hiring the construction manager at risk to work along with the architect during the design of the project, they put their heads together, they work together to come up with cost-efficient and effective designs for all the different building system types, whether it's the foundation of the building, the structure of the building, the finishes of the building. You know, there's occasions when a architect may feel the need to put something in a building or design something in a building that he feels is in our best interest. It's kind of a checks and balances where the construction manager can look at that design, whatever it may be, and may say, well, that's fine and good, except that to build it in this method is going to cost a little bit extra. And they both know what our budget is. They know we have a fixed budget, so they're both working together to stay within our budget. The other option, if aside from the construction manager at risk, is to go with the what we call design, bid, build method. When we do that, we are going all the way through design, putting it out for bid, and then we are locked in with whoever the low bidder is. Sometimes a lot of times we get good contractors. Occasionally we get the low bidder. And the low bidder sometimes is the guy who didn't quite include everything. They don't tell us that. They say, oh yeah, I've got everything in my price and I'm going to do this project for you. But we start discovering through the construction process where they try to start cutting corners. But our architects hold their feet to the fire, and most of the contractors, power through it and get the job done. Occasionally we have had issues that, caused a lot of posturing and threatening of lawsuits and things like that. So when you get to that point, it becomes a very antagonist project to try and complete sometimes. With the CMAR method, you're eliminating all of that because we're picking who the contractor is going to be. in a sense, the contractor does bid on this contract. He bids in the statement of qualifications that he turns in what his markup is going to be on the cost of the project. So they are, in a sense, bidding on this project. The way I think about it is the cost of the project is going to be what the cost of the project is, no matter which contractor gets it, because everybody's paying same price for concrete, same price for steel, same price for electrical and mechanical. So they're all paying the same price. So the construction manager at risk method, I believe, is a better way for us to go, where we can get a better quality project at the end of the day. And so far it's been a good process on Southside High. I hope I answered your question.
It was rather lengthy, but I understand where you're getting to. You mentioned we sometimes give jobs to low bidders. With the risk management, do we hold their feet to the fire? They gave the bid at X amount of dollars to complete a project. If you forgot to put doors and windows, that's your business. Do we hold their feet to the fire for that?
Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes.
Got a motion, Mr. Lachele?
Mr. Baldwin, back to the scoring. I was looking at the totals, and it showed that each of the respondents scored just under 500 on the statement of qualifications, and each of them scored just under 400 on the oral interview. Were there a different number of committee members for each of those? Because it shows that
yes.
each of these is worth 100, these sheets.
Yes, there was one committee member who could not make the oral interviews, so therefore we didn't have a score for him for his portion of it. But we felt that even with 4 committee members, we felt we would still get a good number.
Would you please post the individual scores, not necessarily the individual committee members, but the individual scores for...
Would you like to see those two?
I would, but I think it would be helpful if those would be available on Wednesday night as well.
Okay, we can do that.
When we make that decision. I'll take a look at those after.
Okay, we'll post that for the Wednesday night meeting.
Thank you very much.
I want to make a motion that the Facilities Committee recommends bringing this to the complete board on Wednesday, that we enter into a contract with the Lemoyne Company for the construction manager at risk services on the Como High Performing Arts Academy building.
Second. All right. Are there any questions from members of the public? Mr. Bordelon, the only thing I'll ask, on these particular items where there are committees choosing whether it's architects or primarily case manager at risk projects, please send out email to the facilities committee members inviting them to attend the those committee meetings in the future. If they want to show up, that's fine. I will if I get invited. Thank you. Any other questions from board member, committee or board? Madam Secretary.
Two for, none against.
All right, this concludes our meeting. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.